Hare Krishna, my friends. Welcome to our Friday night reading of Sri Brahma Samhita here in Bhaktiville. Last week's reading was a little bit easier than previous weeks, mainly because it focused on fewer expansions. Yay! So in my preparation for that reading, I read in a transcript where Srila Prabhupada said that trying to understand all these expansions can be very confusing. He said that sometimes it's just best to accept it. For myself, though, I continue to ask questions of Caitya Guru, Krishna in my heart, and he gives insight to so many things. Try it. It really does work. So let's continue. We're on page 37 of the PDF, text 19. But before we get started, let's offer our obeisances and sing a little bit. And we'll get going. I have something weird on my screen. Okay, now I'm ready. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane. I offer my respectful obeisances unto His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who is very dear to Lord Krishna, having taken shelter at His lotus feet. And please excuse me, I have a cold, so I may be sniffling, and I'll try and keep it under control. Please accept my obeisances. Vanchakalpa charubhyascha kripasindubhyevacha cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. I also offer my respectful obeisances unto the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. They are just like desire trees and can fulfill the desires of everyone. They are full of compassion for the fallen, conditioned souls. All right, Jai Radha Madhava. And we'll just sing it through together just once. And we have the words up there on the board, so we're good to go. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Channabalaba Girivardhari Jashoda Nandana Rajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Kannachari. All right, so we are on text 19, page 37 of the PDF, and I have so many things to say about all of this today. One thing I want to say is that things start to get good after verse 29. So I'm trying to rush us through these so we can get to the good parts. I'm not saying these aren't the good parts, but these are difficult for me. But the after 29 are the ones that we know, we're familiar with. Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Those are the, starting with 29. So we'll see how far we get today. I have some alternate readings that I want to do to try and understand the topics. So it may be slow. All right. All right, so I'm just going to sing it through. You can sing it with me. I'm not going to go word for word and all that jazz. I'm just going to push through it. All right? Tatvani purva ruddhani karanani parasparam samavaya prayogaccha vibhinana pratak pratak chichak Sajamanota Bhagavan Adi Purusaha Yojayanmaya Yadevo Yoga Nidram Akalpayat. I see some mistakes I did in there. It should be Purushaha. Samavaya Prayogacha. All right, sorry about that. Synonyms. Tattvani, elements. Purva Ruddhani, previously created. Taranani, causes, parasparam, mutually, samavaya, of the process of conglomeration, aprayogat, from the non-application, cha, and vibhinani, separate, pratak, one from another, chit shaktya, with his spiritual potency, sajamanaha, associating, atta, then, Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Adi Purushaha, the Primal Godhead, Yojayan, causing to join, Mayaya, with Maya, Devaha, the Lord, Yoganidraha, Kalpayat, he consorted with. Translation. Before their conglomeration, the primary elements in their nation state remained originally separate entities. Non-application of the conglomerating process is the cause of their separate existence. Divine Mahavishnu, primal Godhead, through association with his own spiritual chit potency, moved Maya, and by the application of the conglomerating principle, created those different entities in their state of cooperation. And after that, he himself consorted with Yoga Nidra by way of his eternal dalliance with his spiritual chit potency. So I'm going to read the alternate translation from Narayana Maharaja's book of the same. So he says, before the creation of the 5 gross elements, the fundamental elements existed in their natural condition in separate individual forms because the process of combining them had not been applied. The primeval personality, Bhagavan Mahavishnu, acted through the illusory potency by associating with his own transcendental potency, uniting those separate elements by systematic combination. He created the material world. After accomplishing the task of creation in this way, he became absorbed in mystic slumber, the form of union with his own transcendental potency. So I find that much easier to understand, that one, as opposed to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's translation. Bhaktiville says yes. All right, purport. Maya dyakshena prakriti suyate sacharacharam, from Bhagavad Gita 9:10, and the whole verse in English. Well, let me read this first. What he has as the partial translation. The mundane energy Prakriti gives birth to this universe of animate and inanimate beings by my direction. And the full verse in Prabhupada's translation is, this material nature is working under my direction, O son of Kunti, and it is producing all moving and non-moving beings. By its rule, I typed that incorrectly on my copy. By its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. The purport of this shloka of the Gita is that Maya, the perverted reflection of spiritual chit potency, was at first inactive, and her extension of matter, constituting the material cause, was also in the separately dislocated state. In accordance with the will of Krishna, this world is manifested as the resultant of the union of the efficient and material causal principles of Maya. In spite of that, the Supreme Lord himself remains united with his chit potency, Yoga Nidra. The word Yoga Nidra, or Yoga Maya, indicates as follows. The nature of Chit potency, whose potency of knowledge, is manifestive in the absolute truth, while the nature of her perverted reflection, Maya, is envelopment in the gloom of ignorance. When Krishna desires to manifest something in the mundane, ignorance-wrapped affairs, he does this by the conjunction of his spiritual potency with his inactive, non-spiritual potency. This is known as Yogamaya. It carries a twofold notion, namely transcendental notion and mundane, inert notion. Krishna himself, his subjective portions, and those jivas who are his unalloyed, separated particles, realize the transcendental notion in that conjunction, while conditioned souls feel the mundane, inert notion. The external coding of transcendental knowledge in the conscious activities of conditioned souls bears the name of Yoga Nidra. This is also an influence of the Chit potency of the divinity. This principle will be more elaborately considered hereafter. I'm going to pause for a second. I'm going to turn off my mic. Be right back. Okay, I'm back. So I want to read a purport from Narayana Maharaja's text, and their purports are translations of Jiva Goswami's commentary on Brahma Samhita. So let me read to you what the English translation of Jiva Goswami's comment is on this same text. Let me just double check, make sure I'm reading the right thing. Okay. This method of creation by Karna Dakashayi Vishnu has been described in the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. In order to describe the act of creation as the awakening of the universal form, who is the embodiment of the aggregate of countless living entities, it is being explained more elaborately here. The primeval personality, Bhagavan Karna Dakashayi Vishnu, accomplished the creation of the universe by amalgamating the previously unmixed 5 gross elements through the influence of his own spiritual potency, reflected in the form of the illusory energy. Then the Supreme Person, who was inclined to perform pastimes, not being ambitious to carry out the duty of creation, became engrossed in mystic slumber with his transcendental potency, Amadevi, so in the state of Yoga Nidra. Srimad Bhagavatam 3:26-50 says, the cause of the universe, Bhagavan, being endowed with time, activity, and the modes of material nature, entered this universe when the 7 essential realities, that is, the whole aggregate material energy, false ego, and the 5 gross elements, were in their unmixed state. End of text. Thereby, all the substances became agitated and mixed together. Then, from this mixture was born an unconscious egg, from which the universal form was manifested. This egg-like object is enclosed by pradhana, the seed principle of creation, and prakriti, material nature, covered in layers of the elements beginning with water, each layer being 10 times greater than the previous one. So if we look at our illustration over here, he's talking about, I'm going to stand up on this box. No, I don't need to stand up on the box. So in the lower circle of this illustration, there are a bunch of colored stripes around the outside of the circle. Those are the layers that encompass the whole the whole egg-like structure. And those are the elements that he's referencing right now. Okay? So glad we have that little picture. Because when I learned all this stuff, it was just a blur, a total blur. All right, so each layer being 10 times greater than the previous one. Thus, the Supreme Divinity, who was resting in the water within the embryonic universe, arose and, giving up his neutrality, he began to manifest many kinds of variegatedness within the universal egg. All right, so we're gonna need our little Sankhya philosophy slide up there. So let's get to that real quick. I think I decided I like this one the best. I like mine because I made it and it's the way I think, but this is the way it's set up. All right, so let me get back to this text. So, thus the mouth, the voice, and fire were manifest from that egg. So does it show that on this? I can't get in close enough to this to see. Dr. Mimulus, can you see it? It's not close if I get clear. Not clear if you get close. All right, so mine is clear if you get in close because it's just straight up typing and not pretty. We need a better picture. Well, this is the same thing. This thing here is the same thing. All right, it's the same. So fire, sight, eye. You can't read them on my chart? Oh, that's weird. All right, sorry. All right. Thus, from the mouth, the voice and fire were manifest from that egg. It's out of focus. Maybe it's your eyes, dear. And the nose. Let's see. Thus the mouth, voice, and fire are manifest from that egg, and the nose, the life air, and the sense of smell emerged in the same way. Then the two eyes emerged, along with Surya, the presiding deity of the eyes. The ear also emerged, and from the ear, the sense of hearing was manifest. And after that, his skin, pores, tears, genitals, legs, hands, feet, and other bodily parts were manifest. All the demigods, being the presiding deities of the senses, entered into that gigantic form, but the universal form did not wake up. When, despite the presence of faculties such as mind, intelligence, and ego, the universal form still did not awaken, the Supersoul, who was the presiding deity of consciousness, finally entered the heart from the consciousness. At that time, the universal form arose within the water. Therefore, no one is capable of awakening the universal form as he lies submerged beneath the waters, except for the Kshetrajna Purusha, the personality who is the knower of all fields and who is the presiding deity of the life air, senses, mind, intelligence, and consciousness. So Kshetrajna, so Kurukshetra is the field of the Kurus. So Kshetra, Jna, the knowledge of the field. So knowledge of the field of activities. And Purusha, the personality, the Krishna, the personality who is the knower of all fields. Dr. Mimulus says, are the jivas in some kind of suspended animation? Yes, indeed they are. They are indeed. And I think we'll actually get to that subject today. So let me finish this paragraph. In this way, After combining all the essential realities, Bhagavan woke up the universal form for the purpose of creation. Thereafter, since he is indifferent and free from ambition, after engaging in all these activities, he accepted the state of mystic slumber. So, took a nap. Until the next time. So yes, I think the very next verse. Yes, the very next verse, text 20, addresses that. Your question, the suspended animation. I like that idea. Right, text 20, the Sanskrit. Yojayitva tutanyeva pravivesha svayam guham pravishte tamistu jivatma pratibudhyate. And the synonyms. Yojayitva, after conglomerating, tu, then, tani, them, eva, certainly, pravivesha, he entered, svayam, himself, guham, the hidden cavity, pravishte, after he entered, tasmin, within that, tu, then, jiva atma, the jivas, pratibhutyate, were awakened. Translation. By conglomerating all those separate entities, he manifested the innumerable mundane universes, and himself entered into the inmost recess of every extended conglomerate, Vigraha. At that time, those jivas who had lain dormant during the cataclysm were awakened. And let me read an alternate translation, all right, from this other book. When Bhagavan mixed together the individual essential realities, he manifested unlimited numbers of material universes. After that, he personally entered into his hidden abode, the innermost region of each universe. At that time, all the living entities woke up from the sleeping condition in which they had passed the duration of the cosmic dissolution. So I'll address that cosmic dissolution in a second. Bhaktiville says, never was there a time when we did not exist except before creation. No. So he's talking about here, this manifesting is the material manifestation. He's not talking about us, Rians. At the end of each cycle of yugas, there's either a full dissolution of all the material elements or a partial dissolution. And at that time, the jivas are in suspended animation within Vishnu. So they're waiting for the next creation. And then they're, according to, and I think that's in the next couple of verses, according to their karma, according to their settled bodies, they are placed wherever they need to be placed in a body that's appropriate for the next cycle. And Bhaktiville says, and creation is taking place all the time. Yes, when you think of all the universes and all the things that are going on, there's creation going on all the time. Yes. And as a little side note, we have mentioned our Brahma having 4 heads. Our universe is relatively simple, and so our Brahma only has 4 heads. But other universes have more complex universes, and Brahma has more heads because you need all that space for thinking. So I keep forgetting to say that whenever I run across the 4-headed Brahma. So throw that in here right now. All right, purport. The word guha, hidden cavity, bears various interpretations in the Shastras. In some portions, the non-manifestive pastimes of the Lord is called Guha, and elsewhere, the resting place of the indwelling spirit of all individual souls is named Guha. In many places, the inmost recesses of the heart of each individual is termed Guha. The main point is that the place which is hidden from the view of men in general is designated Guha. Those jivas that were merged into Hari at the end of the life of Brahma in the great cataclysm during the preceding great age of the universe, here it is, reappeared in this world in accordance with their former fruitive desires. I'm going to turn my mic off for a second. Be right back. Okay, I'm back. Okay. Oh, what was I going to address? Oh, cosmic dissolution. So he did. He addressed it. Any comments or questions about so far? Okay, he says no. All right, text 21. This is half a. Sa nityo nitya sambandha prakritischa paraivasa. Synonyms: saha, that, jiva; nityaha, eternal; nitya sambandha, possessing an eternal relationship. We know that word, sambandha, because I say it all the time. Sambandha, abhideya, prayojana, right? Relationship. Prakritihi, potency, cha, and para, spiritual, eva, certainly, sa, that. Oh, I know what I wanted to say about the verse before. So guha also is cave. So you can see how that applies to all of those definitions there given by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. Non-manifestive pastimes, indwelling spirit, innermost recesses of the heart, is a place which is hidden from the view of men in general. Guha. All right, translation of this next one. The same jiva is eternal and is for eternity and without a beginning joined to the Supreme Lord by the tie of an eternal kinship. He is transcendental spiritual potency. The word for without beginning is anadi. Anadi. Let me type it in. Type it in chat. Anadi. Anadi. A-N-A-D-I. Anadi. So, without beginning, anadi, and not in this verse, but just as a side note so that you are familiar with that word if it comes up, anadi. Purport. Just as the sun is eternally associated with his rays, so the Transcendental Supreme Lord is eternally joined with the jivas. The jivas are the infinitesimal particles of his spiritual effulgence, and are therefore not perishable like mundane things. Jivas, being particles of Godhead's effulgent rays, exhibit on a minute scale the qualities of the divinity. Hence, jivas are identical with the principles of knowledge, knower, egoism, enjoyer, meditator, and doer. Krishna is the all-pervading, all-extending Supreme Lord, while jivas have a different nature from his, being his atomic particles. So that's the, oh shoot, completely gone from my head. Part and parcel. Prabhupada talks about that as being part and parcel. All right. That eternal relationship consists in this, that the Supreme Lord is the eternal master and jivas are his eternal servants. Jivas have also sufficient eligibility in respect of the mellow quality of the divinity. Apareyam itas tvanyam prakritam vidhi me param. By this verse of the Gita, it is made known that jivas are his transcendental potency. And that's Bhagavad Gita 7.5. And here's the English translation of the full verse. Besides these, O mighty armed Arjuna, there is another, superior energy of mind, which comprises the living entities who are exploiting the resources of this material, inferior nature. All right, back to our text. All the qualities of the unalloyed soul are above the eightfold qualities, such as egotism, etc., pertaining to his achit potency. So the eightfold qualities are earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. And achit, so chit is knowledge, so with an A on front, it's the opposite, right? It's like un in English. Happy, unhappy, right? Chit, achit. So knowledge, not knowledge. So what is not knowledge? Maya is not knowledge. So hence the jiva potency, though very small in magnitude, is still superior to achit potency or Maya. This potency has another name, namely tatashta, or marginal potency, being located on the line demarcating the spheres of the spiritual and mundane potencies. He's susceptible to the influence of the material energy owing to his small magnitude. So when I read this, I thought, oh, this thin line, that's that razor's edge, right? That you can go either way, but you have to be careful. And there used to be a magazine called just that, The Razor's Edge, put out by some devotees in New Jersey, and it was quite amazing. It was for the punk rock group, anyway, Razor's Edge. All right, so Bhaktiville says there may be a sci-fi book with that name. I think you're right. I think there is, The Razor's Edge. So the marginal potencies, that's us, he is susceptible to the influence of the material energy owing to his small magnitude. But so long as he remains submissive to Krishna, the Lord of Maya, he is not liable to the influence of Maya. The worldly afflictions, births and rebirths, are the concomitants of the fettered condition of souls fallen into the clutches of the deluding potency from a time that has no beginning. Right, let me see the next one. We'll do the next one, and then I think we'll see. We'll do the next one. I'm having fun right now, so I tend to talk when I have fun. Occam's razor, yes. Bhaktiville says Occam's razor. And Occam's razor is, what is it? The thing that's, what is it? Can you look up Occam's razor? It's like the thing that's most likely is probably true. Simplest explanation is usually the correct one, yeah. There you go. All right. Text 22. Evam sarvatma sambandham nabhyam padmam harer abhut tatra brahma pavad bhuyas chaturvede chaturmukha. Bhaktiville says that is an argument for atheism. The simplest explanation is usually the correct one. Well, that's a very long book, isn't it? It's a very long book. All right, synonyms. Evam, thus, Sarva Atma, with all souls, Sambandham, related, Nabhyam, from the navel, Padmam, a lotus, Hare, a Vishnu, Abhut, sprung up, Tatra, there, Brahma, Brahma, Abhavat, was born, Puyaha, again, Chatuvedi, first in the four Vedas, Chatumukha, four-faced. Translation. The divine lotus, which springs from the navel pit of Vishnu, is in every way related by the spiritual tie with all souls, and is the origin of the four-faced Brahma, first in the four Vedas. Purport. The same divine lotus, originating from the divine person, entered into the hidden recess, is the superior plane of aggregation of all individual souls. The four-faced Brahma, the image of self-enjoyment, derives his origin from the prototype Brahma, or Hiranyagarbha, the mundane seminal principle, who regards the aggregate of all mundane entities as his own proper body. The delegated godship of Brahma, as well as his being the dislocated portion of Krishna, are also established. Let me just scoot over to this other translation and see. 122. So here's the translation from this other book. The lotus flower that emerged from the area of Sri Vishnu's navel contained the collective bodily conception of all living entities. The four-headed Brahma, who is the knower of the four Vedas, was manifested from that lotus. All right, 23. I think we'll stop there because, oh, no, let's do one more. We'll do one more. Text 23. Sanjato Bhagavat Chaktya Tatkalam Kila Chodita Sisrikshayam Matim Chakre Purva Samskara Samskritaha Tadarisha Kevalam Dvantam Nanyatkim Api Sarvataha. Synonyms. Sanjataha, on being born. Bhagavat Shaktya, by the divine potency. Tatkalam, at that time. Kila, indeed. Choditaha, being guided. Sisrikshayam, to the act of creation. Matim, his mind. Chakre, turned. Purva samskara samskritaha, under the impulse of previous impressions. Dadarasha, he saw. Kevalam, only. Vantam, darkness. Na, but. Anyat, else. Kim, api, anything. Sarvataha, in every direction. Translation. On coming out of the lotus, Brahma, being guided by the divine potency, turned his mind to the act of creation under the impulse of previous impressions. But he could see nothing but darkness in every direction. Purport. Brahma's impulse for creation arises solely from his previous impressions. All jivas get their nature conformably to their impressions of previous births, and accordingly, their activity can have a beginning. So he's talking about your previous karma, your previous impressions, your samskaras. That means impressions. So even Brahma is a post, it's a managerial post, and you and I, if we had such an inclination, could work our lives in such a way that I want to be Brahma in my next life and do all those things to become Brahma, just like you would go through a managerial ladder to become president of a company. So he's talking here about Brahma's impulse for creation arises solely from his previous impressions, his samskaras. Right. It is called the unseen, or the result of one's previous deeds. Oh, there it is. His natural impulse is formed according to the nature of the deeds done by him in the previous kalpa. Some of the eligible jivas also attain to the office of Brahma in this way. Should have just waited till I finished reading the purport to talk about it. But there it is. Even you can become Brahma. But why would you want to? I don't know. Some people want to be in charge. Be in charge. Bhaktiville says, I was going to say no, thank you. So what is that song? If I were king of the forest, right, from The Wizard of Oz. So it's that kind of thinking. All right, so we're going to stop there because the next couple of verses, I really want to push through and get to 29, but we may or may not get to that next week. Or maybe we'll do 29. I see 26 is hugely long, and 27 is also hugely long. So we may or may not get to it next week, but we're working on it. Because then we can get into talking about Krishna and his pastimes, our relationship with Krishna, what Krishna Loka is like, all those things. So, and also, in the next couple of verses, as a just as a preview, there's a little bit of a verse in there that is the most wonderful verse that we say, Brahmins say every day, and we'll speak about that next week. And it's some people call it the Gopal mantra, and it's quite beautiful. So that's in our reading for next week. All right, so something to look forward to. Thank you very much for letting me prattle on about what I think I know, and for letting me read from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta's and Srila Narayana Maharaja's translations of this wonderful book. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you. Hare Krishna.